Conversational Christianity. My name is Mark Owens, and I'm here to be your guide as we enter into the world of Jesus of Nazareth and his essential teachings. Now, there are a lot of common misconceptions about Christianity as religion and church as an institution. And whether you're a lifelong church member or you've never darkened the door of a sanctuary, odds are you've got some ideas about the Christian faith that are rooted in tradition rather than the real teaching of Jesus Christ. Now, I want to change that by introducing you to the real Jesus, the one that we find buried in the pages of the Bible, waiting to be rediscovered if we'll just take the time to read what he has to say and be challenged by it. And so if you're merely curious, or if you've got a lifetime of church experience under your seat, I challenge you to drop those predispositions and join me on a voyage of discovery. I believe it can and it will change your life. Now, before we can really understand what Jesus had to say, we've got to understand where Jesus comes from. Jesus of Nazareth was a first century Palestinian Jew. Like it or not, that's who he is and that's where he was. And we really can't understand Jesus in any other context than where we find him. I mean, we can make application and we can study what he says and bring it into our 21st century American reality, but you got to understand, Jesus is not American. In fact, he doesn't even hold on to a Western worldview as we understand it. He's firmly rooted in the place and the time where he lived. Now, to understand that, we need to look at first century Palestine. And first century Palestine was a crossroads. It was a place of all kind of different ideas and people. If you were there, you would find Egyptian merchants and Persian traders. You'd find Greek builders and Roman military men. You'd find peasants of all shapes and sizes from all kind of backgrounds, both Jewish and non-Jewish. And we also know that at this time the Jewish people were coming back from all over the world. And as they came, they brought with them ideas from different points of the globe. I can really see this played out in the way that language was used. Greek was the language of trade, and Aramaic was the common language on the street. In the synagogue, they spoke Hebrew. And in the home, they spoke whatever tongue they happened to be born with. You see, because people were coming back from all over the world, they brought dialects and language from all of these different places. And so you had this mixture of cultural influences and moral values that people had brought together. And when you add that all up, you come up with conflict. And because there was conflict, we understand why there was this very strong Roman military presence there. And because there's this very strong Roman military presence, we understand why the Jews were angry all the time. Because all of a sudden, they find themselves the oppressed. They're once again subjugated to an occupying force, as they had been so many times before. The average Jew was a man who was under pressure. I mean, he's under constant threat of physical violence by the Romans themselves, as well as being under pressure from the religious hierarchy. He was the one who dealt with this corrupt spiritual group who used their power and influence to extort money from him and to make him do things he didn't want to do and to alienate him from his own people. These were the Scribes and the Pharisees, and when you open up the Gospels, you'll see them mentioned over and over and over again. They were the men who controlled the temple. They were the political power in the religious hierarchy. They're the men who have the reins of the synagogue, the local church, if you will, firmly in their hands. And they were supposed to be taking care of the people of God, but instead they're using their cultural influence, their position of power, to gain money and control over the common man. Now, into that world, Jesus of Nazareth walks. And he brings with him a revolutionary way of seeing and experiencing reality. He also brings opposition to this corrupt spiritual leadership. We'll see that over and over as well. And what we discover is that Jesus comes saying that spirituality is not a matter of religious practice, nor is it about affiliation with the right institution. In other words, spirituality is not about church membership or having an acceptable morality. Instead, it's all about having a right relationship with our Creator. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that contrary to popular church teaching today, Jesus did not come with the gospel of salvation. Jesus came with the good news or the gospel of the kingdom of God. And what he really did was come and invite everyone who would listen to enter into a parallel universe. He invited us to come and live no longer under the domination of other men, but to live instead under the rule of a loving, merciful, forgiving God. That was an exciting thing to people who lived underneath the domination of Rome in the first century. He also says that we don't have to walk under the spiritual oppression of the Pharisees or the religious leaders, but instead we can walk in step with the one who not only desired us, but who made us in his own image. See, Jesus came and declared that the old order of things, the way of the world, was at an end. And a new order, the way of the kingdom, was at hand. In fact, he says, it's within us. And all we have to do is simply follow him. It's this way of the kingdom that leads to hope where there was hopelessness and freedom where there was oppression. And through his teachings and his examples, he demonstrates for them and for us a radical new way of existing. And it's this new life that I want to share with you. So why not? Let go of everything you think you know about Jesus and church and religion, and come with me on a voyage of discovery. I really think that it can lead you to a brand new life. I really appreciate you hanging out with me for these few minutes. And until we meet again, I hope that you have peace, love, and spiritual understanding. God bless you.